I'm really curious to know which dancers inspire you.
Ooh, it is a laundry list of dances that inspire me. Uh, John Narvaez and Liz Roja, all my instructors for sure. And also Tita and Tamara inspire me.
Hmm.
They are the epitome, I think, for me, of what a successful partnership can be without ever competing.
Mm.
They are the epitome of an art form where it's about the enjoyment of the music and their routines and their showmanship on stage.
Hmm.
Um, and they're beautiful and classic. And it's like, when you have those like classic songs that never get old.
Mm.
That's, I mean, I hope she's not watching. I'm not calling her old. I'm not calling them old, but they are, they're definitely not young anymore. But no, but they're like that. They're
Maestro,
up.
I had nothing to do with this. Mario said it, not me. It wasn't me.
No, but they're up there with like the classic dancers. Like you would have Eddie Torres is one of them, right? Eddie
Yeah.
Torres is like a classic dancer. It never gets old. Watching him
Mm.
dance and watching him interpret music and teach and doing it, him with Tito Tamara, um, and also like Frankie Martinez, and then you have, oh my God, how am I forgetting the names? This is terrible of me. Um, the West Coast people. I just did the
This
song. I'm
interview will
forgetting
be
it now.
posted on my Instagram for anyone that wants to share it with these four named mentioned
Ah,
in, inspirational dancers that
yes.
Mario's having trouble remembering.
I'm terrible with names. You remember this? I did a video. Oliver, we did this video at the end, and he was the last dancer. And he's from LA, and he created on one pretty much. Not created on one, but he was on one
Johnny
pretty much.
Vasquez.
There you go, the Vasquez brothers. That's the last
Yeah.
name I forgot. But the Vasquez brothers, not just Johnny, but the Vasquez brothers. Like all those people have inspired me. I also love Rodrigo Cortázar from Mexico. Um, Oh, there's just so many, like a bunch of New York dancers, like Huracan, people like Yamule, Carol Flores, like the list
Mm.
can go on and on and on and on and on. Yeah, the list, that's a hard one. I feel like I just need to write down everyone and be like, next, this person, next, this person, just because I feel bad not naming someone. But no, a lot of the classic dancers have inspired me a lot. I've been,
Mm.
yeah.
There's something really interesting, and to me you have a very unique style, and I think that's partially to do with you you're influenced by a lot of different styles. So like we spoke before, you've got flamenco training, jazz, ballet, ballroom, contemporary, like all of these different styles. You're a very multifaceted dancer. So if someone wanted to create their own style or find their own unique way of moving, like what would you recommend they do? How could they go about that?
Yeah, you, it's this weird, it's like you're discovering yourself, right? And you know how people say, like wait till you get to your 30s, like a lot of 20, let's be real. We hear that, like, wait till you get to your 30s because you really know like who you are as a person, right? And so you hear that a lot. And in a weird way, with dancing, there is no age number because it's like, it does not matter when you started. You could have started when you were 4. You could have started with 8 years ago. It doesn't, its age is not going to be a factor. It's
Mm,
about discovering who you are as a dancer. And I
mm,
think that is hard for people um, to find because they don't
mhm,
know. They, it's an art form that you learn from someone, right? And so I guess I put it as when I work with students, I'll say especially competing, right? And because
mhm,
I'm a very heavy competitor, I personally never want my student to look like me. My purpose is not
mhm,
for them to dance like me, right? There
mm,
is an element of you have to find your own style. I will give you
mhm,
the tools and then the body mechanics of what to do to create the style, to be confident, to be grounded, to not fall over, to be strong. All those things I will give
mhm,
that, and I feel like that you can learn from people. But then there comes a moment where you actually have to look at yourself in the mirror, dance, interpret, and actually look at it, and either I accept that and I love that, or I don't, or I want to try something different. And it's the weirdest thing to do. And
Mm.
I I love yeah, it's you have to go through the self discovery of finding out what you like, what you don't like. Not just what
Mm-hmm.
you don't like, sorry, what you feel really, really passionately about, how you interpret and how that makes you feel. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
And it's
it's
something
not
that's
sorry, yeah,
it's subject to change over time as well, right? Because the way you were
exactly.
dancing 10 years ago isn't the same as you're dancing now. So even once you find your style, that's not to say that that's where you stop, because it continues to evolve based off your life experiences and what else you learn.
Yeah, and I guess like the beauty of uh, the beauty of it is there is some people that will find a new style, or will find something that we interpret, and it just that they it gives them so much satisfaction. They love that they don't want to change, or not that they don't want to change,
Mm,
but they just continue to do it. And I think for myself, I do know, and I do feel that I'm very different, because I am kind of like, I love trying new things. It's
mm,
actually I've done that in throughout my whole life with all my extracurricular activities, not just outside of dance, even outside of dancing.
mm,
I love trying new things, and I
mm,
don't say no to things. I say yes, and I'm like, let me try it, and then be like, ooh, not as much. Let me try this. Ooh, that's cool, and I find myself continue growing. So, and for some people that works, and for some people
mm,
that is what you do, and for some people that doesn't work, and that's okay. At the end of the day, it's
mm,
not. There's no right or wrong, right? It's what gives you happiness, enjoyment in your life.
mm. Because like I was thinking about this the other day, because you've achieved so much, like, some people, can chase a world title for years and years and years, some people decades, but when you've got 10, did you get to a point in your career, like your dancing career, when you thought, oh, like, well, what now? Like, I've achieved like all of this, like, what do I do now?
Hmm. Um, yeah, I guess I got to the point. I remember. So I got to that kind of point in 2018. For
Yeah.
some of the people that I haven't really traveled with that one as well, so it's really only Australians would know this. But 2018,
Mm.
I did this routine where this jacket reveal happened, and it was like a super jazzy song, and it was the epitome of what it was like. Can't be gay, Mario. Let's be real. Like, it's just the epitome. Like, let's do a jacket reveal, because I watch too much Drag Race, and I want to be fabulous, and I am like, I want to be special. Like, that's it. When people see me on stage and see me do that, like, yes, I'm serious, I'm having fun, and I'm enjoying it, but like, people need to understand. I literally will sit there and be like, I want to pull my jacket up and have a new costume, and I want to do that. And yes, and so I remember just going to Sarah Jackson, not Sarah Jackson, sorry, Sarah Cole made that costume here in Melbourne, and I was just like, Sarah, let's make this. And she was like, okay, how? And I'm like, I don't know, girl, that's your job. Don't ask me how. You got to figure out, look, I'll help you, but you got to figure out how we're going to get this into this. And so after that moment, I felt like I kind of checked a lot of boxes. Like, I felt good about my dancing. I, I had a song that I really loved.
Mhm,
Rico Mambo gave me the satisfaction of, it opened a lot for me. So
mhm,
I feel like I had this routine, not that I was complacent, but I had this routine let, that allowed me to travel around the world and got me to move to a new country, and literally has been such a highlight and stepping stone into my life. And then I moved on to creating a routine and a song that I made for myself. So I kind of
mhm,
tick that box of being like, oh, I got to dance and create another form of creativity of mine. Got in was into this factor of creating this routine that year. And then it sounds kind of materialistic, but then I got to have a costume that I was so excited about. Like, I just
mhm,
loved the whole idea that I thought about that came to life. I loved
mhm,
seeing that happen. So then I was at the point where I'm like, okay, well, again, for most people, if I don't find that song, I won't do it.
mhm,
So I kind of felt like, okay, like, oh, I mean, I did a jazzy song. I used to have after 2018. People kept asking me, so what are you gonna do next year? What are you gonna compete? And I always had this joke. I was like, I'm probably done. I was like, and I would tell people like, the only way I'd be competing is if I come down from a crystal ball, come down like J Lo and probably in Las Vegas, open the crystal ball. Not to mention the crystal ball is like stones. I do one basic, a Suzy Q, sit back in the crystal ball, and shimmy my way up, and that would be a minute and a half of my routine. That's what I'm gonna do. Because I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what more I would want to do. I didn't find the song. I feel like I've done checklists, whatever. And then, yeah, 2019 was such a big year for me in my life. A lot of change was happening.
Mm.
A lot of realizations was happening. I would say 2019 probably was the most transformative year one of the most transformative years that I've had.
Mm.
And not just transforming myself mentally and my focus on what I want to do with my life, my career, and all that,
Mm.
and how that's looking for, but also the influence of being in a commercial show. And I think the vast contrast is the salsa world. I love the salsa world and I love competing, but you only get to be on stage for 2 minutes, a minute and a half. Like it's a
Yeah.
very short lived time on stage. And then
Mm.
at that same time, I was dancing in a production show that was an hour and a half long. Like I wasn't dancing for a whole hour and a half long, but I was on
Mm.
stage for probably more than half of that hour and a half. Like I was on
Mhm.
a lot of numbers. And so that exhaustion of dancing, it was a whole different feel. It was a very so I kind of like I would be torn. Like I was like, what do I want to do with my life? Do I want to be a salsa dancer? I'm always going to be a salsa dancer. I will always be that. That will never change
Mm.
in my life. Or do I want to do more commercial? But I also love salsa. But I love being in these shows. Like I was really torn. I was really
Mm.
like being pulled back and forth. And I'm always in my head about things. So
Mhm.
I'm I'm I don't stop thinking. And I end up finding this song, and actually I didn't find it that year. Oliver, he knows this. I shouted out to him. He did this routine. I would have to say Oliver is also a big influence. He did this routine with Luda. That's how much I remember. It was in 2007, I think. So it was in the competition World Salsa Championships. He did this routine for the semifinals, and he was always notorious to do two different routines. He had a semifinal routine and a final
Mhm.
routine,
Yeah.
and he would always like. I remember a semifinals routine. He never did it after that. I don't know if he never did it. I never saw him do it after that. His finals
Yeah.
routine are the ones he would travel with. And so he danced to this song that I was like, oh my God, I love it. I
Mm.
always, throughout my years, I've always had that song on my phone, on my iTunes. It was there. And then I remember in 2019, everyone kept, even I kept asking myself, am I going to compete this year? Do I have something more, not just to prove, but do I have something more I feel like I'm going to want to do?
Mm.
And I felt like I did. And then
Yep.
I refound that song and I was just like, huh, it's a very different, this my last year song was very different, still jazzy,
Mm.
still that sort of jazzy realm, but it
Yep.
was just had a bit of a different energy. And I was like, screw it, we're doing it. We are doing it. And then then the rest is history.